Let's all say Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauramani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vastasya Sastami Srila Ki Jai. Welcome to our final lesson in the Father Acharya series. Your Srila Prabhupada. Stoker, do you have his?
Yes, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, and also I had to give you your thing did man.
Oh.
So I
Okay. I'll copy it and then
yeah.
get back.
Maybe you can do it here or something. Or because I don't know. I might not be make it to the morning program tomorrow. We'll see.
You can give it to me and I will give it to you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and does anybody know where Tulsi Priya is? No? Okay, I owe her a donation for, she gave me 24 pieces of Maha Burfi for our Tucson devotees. Okay, let's see if she comes. Okay. So your Srila Prabhupada. Before we look at some ways to access and nourish our personal, foundational relationship with His divine grace, let's consider how Srila Prabhupada is for everyone. Okay, there's an early picture there. I think it's the one's close. So, where's the mic? Okay, so you can read. One way Prabhupada is for everyone is as a
universal teacher.
Yes. The year was 1935. In February, Abhay Charanaravinda Das spoke at the Vyasa Puja celebration of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in Bombay. Not only was the Thakur Abhay's spiritual master, he was the founder Acharya of the entire Gaudiya mission, which had ignited a renaissance of Krishna consciousness throughout the Indian subcontinent. Addressing the assembly, Abhay declared, quote, and this used to be printed every year in the DVT Vyasa Puja book. It's called The Universal Teacher, and may ring a bell. And it's the transcript of what Prabhupada spoke. Quote, the Acharya Devi, to whom we have assembled tonight, to offer our humble homage, is not the guru of a sectarian institution, or one out of many differing exponents of the truth. On the contrary, he is the Jagat Guru, the guru of all of us. The only difference is that some obey him wholeheartedly, while others do not obey him directly. Now, that was in 35, Prabhupada giving the keynote address at the launch of the Bombay Gaudiya Math. 36 years later, in 1971, after Prabhupada had become ISKCON's founder Acharya, a reporter asked him how many followers he had. Come in.
Hare Krishna.
Good.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
So, how many followers do you have? Okay, so here's what Prabhupada said. Ready? Okay.
Unlimited, Prabhupada replied, echoing his homage to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta decades earlier. Some admit and some don't admit. Admit you are a servant of Lord Krishna and your life will be a success.
Prabhupada saying he has unlimited followers. Some admitted, some don't admit. Okay, so that's one way Prabhupada is for everyone. He's a Jagat Guru, not simply a guru of a sectarian institution. Another way is, Prabhupada is, let's see.
global teacher.
Preacher. Yeah.
Preacher.
Yeah. Between 1965 and 1977, Srila Prabhupada circled the globe 14 times, establishing the Krishna consciousness movement on every major continent. He also initiated thousands of, oh, I'm sorry, you're supposed to read this, go ahead. Just read that.
Between 1965 and 1977, Srila Prabhupada circled the globe 14 times, establishing the Krishna consciousness movement on every major continent.
And
He also initiated thousands of followers and continues to inspire countless more to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
at an age when most people wish to comfortably retire, Prabhupada kept up a non-stop preaching pace, tirelessly responding to his mission's demands. As he wrote one disciple, by the way, that's Srila Prabhupada disembarking in June 74 in Geneva. There's Sadhguru Maharaj, serving as his GBC secretary servant. And this is Guru Gauranga Prabhu, my godbrother, who was the head of the Geneva, who started the Geneva preaching. As Prabhupada wrote one disciple, quote, regarding your invitation that I attend the Radhadesh Festival in San Francisco on July 7th, it is possible that I may attend, depending on when I finish my European tour. I am due to arrive in Rome on May 23rd, then after a week, Geneva, then Paris, and possibly Stockholm, Germany, and England. If there is time, I can fly directly from Europe to Los Angeles and go to the festival. And it's still another flight up to San Francisco for the festival too. And then, as you suggest, go to Australia, Radhadesh, via Hawaii. This is known as, Prabhupada writes, Jet Age Paribraj Acharya. Now Prabhupada, he didn't make that up, he got it from, there was a journalist for the Hindustan Times at Delhi, and he noticed Prabhupada's itinerary, and he said in a piece about Prabhupada, this is a Jet Age Swami. Astonishingly, Jet Age Prabhupada never knew jet lag, or ignored it if he did, instantly adapting to the time at his latest destination. Though most of us were young enough to be his grandchildren, we couldn't keep up with him. As Prabhupada would sometimes say, quote, my desire is to spread Krishna consciousness everywhere at once. And even the people with Prabhupada, his personal party, like his servant, secretary, his Sanskrit editor, they felt the jet lag. So after they arrived at a place, they set up Prabhupada's room and then they'd go crash somewhere. And they just couldn't, they were like knocked out. And then sometimes Prabhupada would peek in on them and he'd say, you are worse than karmis. All you do is eat and sleep. But they were exhausted. And they were, young men. Okay, so universal teacher, global preacher, and here's another one. Who's gonna?
Srila Prabhupada is for everyone. Matchless giver.
That Srila Prabhupada founded over 100 Hare Krishna temples, schools, farms, restaurants, and other projects, all while writing and publishing dozens of translations and commentaries on foundational Vaishnava scriptures, is simply miraculous. How did he do it? Well, for one thing, Prabhupada didn't sleep much. After going to bed at 10, he would usually rise at midnight or 1 a.m. and write through the wee hours. If he had time, he would nap for a half hour after breakfast or a full hour after lunch. His days and nights were a seamless weave of selfless service. It wasn't like our days, our days have a beginning and an end, and then we go surrender to sleep for several hours. Before Prabhupada would go to sleep, he would say, "Now I'm going to waste my time." And I'm thinking, sleep, The Prabhupada wasn't like that. Now I'm going to waste my time. Another short sleeper is the cow, to whom Prabhupada would sometimes compare himself. In Bombay, devotees once told Prabhupada they were concerned not enough people would come to a program they had arranged. Prabhupada replied, "No, I am like a cow. I give milk anywhere. That is what I like to do." Or another cow one was, sometimes at Prabhupada, he would be leaving a place, and then he'd be going to another place. So the place that he was going to, they would call up the place where Prabhupada was leaving, and they'd say, "Could you ask Srila Prabhupada, is he going to take prasad before he leaves, or will he take prasad when he gets here?" So Prabhupada said, I'll take prasad. I'm like a cow. I can eat in this pasture and that pasture." So, okay. So matchless giver. Let's see. Oh, I did it again. I read where I was supposed to let you read. It's simply miraculous. Okay, so to make it up, I'll have you read this next one.
Avesha Avatar.
Alright. Here we go. The Sri Chaitanya Chaitamrita Ansha 7.11 states, quote, "The fundamental religious system in the age of Kali is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Unless empowered by Krishna, one cannot propagate the Sankirtan movement," unquote. Commenting on this verse in CC, Ansha 2.14, Prabhupada further identifies the one who empowers the spreader of the chanting. There you go.
Unless one is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one cannot spread the holy names of Hare Krishna Mahamantra throughout the world. Persons who do so are empowered. Therefore, they are sometimes called Avesha avatars, or empowered incarnations, for they are endowed with the power of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Did I mention the story of Sridhar Maharaj, Prabhupada's godbrother, calling him in Avesh? Did I mention that? In 1976, Sridhar Maharaj was visiting Prabhupada in his rooms in the Lotus Building in Mayapur. And he was saying, Swami Maharaj, when Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, sent those Gaudiya Math preachers to Europe, they didn't have much success. And in fact, famously, when Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was approached by the Marquis of Zetland, said, "Swami, can you make me a Brahmin?" "Oh yes, simply follow these 4 principles." And so the Marquis said, "Impossible." So then, when those preachers were recalled by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta without much success, Sri Maharaj said, "We were thinking, what is this every town and village prophecy, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, in every town and village my holy name will be sung and preached? This must be some poetic hyperbole, exaggeration. These people can't even, they're like animals. They can't even consider following basic principles of human life." But Swami Maharaj, you did it. You came to the West and you turned all these same people into Vaishnavas. Therefore, Shaktivesh. So, Srila Maharaj really appreciated Prabhupada. Once an Indian Swami criticized Prabhupada's global preaching by saying that if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had wanted Krishna consciousness in the Western countries, why didn't he go there himself? To which Prabhupada replied, he left the good for me. He loves his devotee more than himself. Unquote. You have to be clear to say that, right? He left the good for me. Yet Prabhupada always passed on that credit to others, to his followers, to his spiritual master, and finally to Krishna himself. It is a mark of Prabhupada's absolute transparency as an Avesh avatar that he named his movement after Lord Krishna, not himself, who most of the world has yet to discover. So that's our job. Prabhupada called it the Hare Krsna movement, not the Bhaktivedanta Swami movement, whereas all the other gurus, swamis, and yogis, you just remember them. It's all about them, right? But Prabhupada's trying to direct everybody to Krishna. So we have to make people aware of Prabhupada's mercy and inspire them to take advantage of his mercy. Okay, so Prabhupada's for everyone. Classic photo. Anybody know how that photo came to be? No?
Yes, they needed, he went to San Francisco
Yes.
and they needed a photo in New York to worship.
There you go. Let's look at the audience.
So Prabhupada, he left New York and he went to San Francisco. And when he was in San Francisco, the devotees in New York were wondering how to worship Srila Prabhupada. Yeah.
Well, it was like this.
Okay.
They were just, that's close. So they were just saying, we were feeling your separation so much, Swamiji. So Prabhupada said, well, just put my picture on my seat. And they said, well, we don't have a picture. So then Roger, who later became Guru Das, who was handy with a camera, he just really quickly, he arranged a few shots, and this was one of them. This became this iconic, he lives forever photo that was on the cover of BTG the month after Prabhupada passed away.
So Prabhupada, he posed
Yeah, he posed.
for that purpose.
Yeah, for a few others too that you know well. Full body shot, color, purple background, orange. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah. So if Prabhupada is for everyone, he's certainly for everyone in ISKCON. Not just for, dinosaurs like me. As mentioned in Lesson 9, in 1994, ISKCON's governing body passed its first founder Acharya resolution. We read that. First, he's the foundational Shiksha Guru. Here are all of that resolution's points. So let's read the rest of those points.
ISKCON's founder Acharya, 1994 GC Resolution number 35. The founder Acharya's statement. A. Srila Prabhupada is the foundational Shiksha Guru for all ISKCON devotees.
And it's ... because there's more, but I just gave enough to give you the gist for the first part of each one. B.
Srila Prabhupada's instructions are the essential teachings for every ISKCON devotee. C. Srila Prabhupada's books are the embodiment of his teachings and should be accepted as the standard by all future generations of ISKCON. D. Srila Prabhupada should be worshipped daily by every ISKCON member. E. Every spiritual master is responsible to guide his disciples to follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions.
That's called the founder Acharya-centered Guru-disciple culture. Okay. So more founder Acharya resolutions since then have identified our foundational relationship with Srila Prabhupada as the sublime pivot around which all our other relationships in his society turn. Amid our ever-increasing diversity, Srila Prabhupada remains the unity. Okay, so here's a collage I put together. Prabhupada, he was like a transcendental Renaissance man. Like Da Vinci, the Renaissance. He was such a multifaceted intelligence. He gave us everything from the Mona Lisa to the blueprints for the helicopter. You don't usually see that in one person. So Prabhupada was like that. He just had so many aspects. Let's see. If you were born after Prabhupada's time, or never knew him when he walked among us, you may wonder what will happen to his society when the last, quote, Prabhupada disciple has left this world. Now, if we understand, quote, disciple in its literal meaning as, quote, learner, we will realize that as the Hare Krishna movement continues to expand, Prabhupada's presence will likewise expand through the generations of devotees who study and follow his divine instructions. Despite our different Gurudevs, since we all share the same founder Acharya, generations will continue to follow Prabhupada into and out of this world, sharing Krishna's mercy with suffering humanity in many ways. So, which aspect of Srila Prabhupada inspires you most? And this is just a little sample of some of his aspects. Prabhupada, the back to the land of Krishna pioneer. Prabhupada, the world Sankirtan party leader. Prabhupada, the Vaishnavi empowerer. The sublime cook. The prolific author. The cultural conqueror. The list goes on. A true transcendental Renaissance man, Prabhupada is many-sided, but to whichever side we're attracted, there are standard ways to build a personal, foundational relationship with His divine grace. We're going to take a look at a couple of those ways. And let's see. Okay, so there's Prabhupada walking around one of his favorite places in Golden Gate Park. It's called Stowe Lake. And the background of this audio we're going to hear is that my god sister Rukmini, she's been to Radhadesh. Yeah. I think she's some kind of trustee of the college too, maybe, or maybe Newton is, or yeah. Okay. So she was a 16-year-old girl, and she was in Montreal in 1968, and she had been initiated on the 15th of August, and on the 18th, Prabhupada gave a Bhagavatam class, and then he asked her questions. So Rukmini, she had just been initiated, and then so her question was something like, it was more of a comment actually. When you're not here, I think there was, even though the name had been changed to Prabhupada, I think in Montreal they were still calling him Swamiji, yeah, because I remember that. Swamiji, when you're not here, I feel so distant from you. When you're not here, physically. I feel lonely. So when you hear Prabhupada's audio, she keeps responding to what she had just said. Okay, so here's Prabhupada's response. Uh-oh.
It's from here. It's playing from here.
So we have the chord in here.
Yeah. We could switch up the audio on this, or
We can put the,
in settings you can switch the.
oh, yeah, that's another setting thing. Alright, let's do that. So settings, yeah. So I gotta get out of here.
Otherwise, we can just wrap up the audio from here.
Well,
We'll play from here.
instead of changing a setting?
Yeah. We'll just hear it from this box.
Alright. That's gonna be loud enough, let's see.
Pretty loud.
Okay. Let's go back then. Okay.
Play from current slide.
Okay.
There are two conceptions, the physical conception and the vibration conception. The physical conception is temporary, and the vibration conception is eternal. Just like we are enjoying or we are relishing the vibration of Krishna's teaching. So my vibration is present. As soon as we chant Hare Krsna or chant Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavad, so he is present immediately by vibration. So we should give more strength on the sound vibration, either of Krishna or of the spiritual master, then we feel happy and no separation.
The first and foremost way we can all connect with Srila Prabhupada is by becoming keen students of his spoken and written word. Regular, attentive hearing from our founder Acharya, especially in the company of sincere and serious devotees, grounds us in the root relationship that nourishes us all. Okay, so then we just heard that audio. Separated from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta for decades, Prabhupada would nonetheless say he always felt his spiritual master right by his side. How? By absolute absorption in hearing, chanting, and applying Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's teachings. In the same way, in the company of sincere and serious devotees, absorbed in studying and presenting Prabhupada's teachings, we will also feel Prabhupada's presence always in our lives. And we're going to look at two examples of devotees from my generation who loved to hear Srila Prabhupada, but they were so different, but they shared that one characteristic. Okay. So there's Srila Prabhupada and Jayananda Prabhu, famous. Now most people know that he's on the calendar, right? Just before the Sringa Chaturdashi, there's Jayananda Prabhu's disappearance day. And then there's Jamuna Devi. Okay. In this connection, two exemplary devotees from my generation come to mind, Jayananda Prabhu and Jamuna Devi. In 1967, Jamuna and Jayananda were among the first to join Srila Prabhupada's movement in San Francisco. Deeply devoted to Prabhupada from the start, they were also as different as night and day. To meet Jamuna was to meet a priestess of devotion, expressed most wonderfully through her cooking, singing, and deity worship. Prabhupada, the cultural conqueror, came through Jamuna. Jayananda was strong as an ox and humble as grass. A mechanical engineer by training, Jayananda was a tireless worker who was perhaps most beloved for building huge chariots for ISKCON's annual Radhadesh parade. Prabhupada's surpassing strength and humility came through Jayananda. Different as they were, Jamuna and Jayananda both had a deep love for hearing from Srila Prabhupada. By developing a similar love and a deep dedication to serving Srila Prabhupada's mission, one or more aspects of our beloved founder Acharya will also shine through us. We can't expect to reflect all of Prabhupada's aspects. This is too great, too vast. But just as Jana and Jamuna did in their own ways, very different ways, we can too. That depends on our absorption in Prabhupada's life, teachings, mood, and mission. Another standard way. Okay, let's. Want to give the mic?
Correct? By finding and making your best contribution to our founder Acharya's mission.
Since some dubious devotional groups prematurely focus on seeing Krishna face to face, Prabhupada admonished his followers that the best way to see Krishna is to serve the mission of his pure devotee, the spiritual master. Go ahead.
When one becomes serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Well, that's classic Prabhupada. Because he's so mission-oriented, he's so outreach-oriented. So it's this, if you've given your life to follow the mission, that's the same thing as seeing Krishna face to face. Because Krishna himself says in the Gita, there's nobody more dear to me than somebody who's preaching this. Yeah. As Srila Bhaktisiddhanta would say, don't try to see God. You work in such a way that God will see you. That's what Prabhupada said. And when that work is done cooperatively in Srila Prabhupada's mission, combining the efforts of different generations, Krishna is pleased and blesses us manyfold. Okay, so the next slide is it's a kind of balancing slide, but it appears to be, but then you're going to hear the deeper take on this slide. Okay, so here's...
You cannot.
All right. That's from Google Images. That's the best jumper I could find. Anybody know who that is? What that is? Anybody know they're primates? He lives in Madagascar, Comoro Islands, and the name of that creature rhymes with a bone in our leg. We have a bone called a femur. So what is? It's a lemur. Not a monkey, it's a lemur. But he's a good jumper, so I put him up there. Okay, so let me set the background to this audio. In the early 1970s, as more Western devotees began to visit India, some became fascinated by the books in English of our Gaudiya predecessors, especially Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Srila Bhaktivinoda. So they asked Prabhupada if they could read their writings. Prabhupada wasn't pleased, at least at this time in this place. So let's hear what Prabhupada said.
You cannot imagine what my spiritual master said. Or even if you read some books, you cannot understand unless you understand it from me. This is called Prabhupada. You cannot jump over to the superior guru, or I will say, neglecting the next order, immediate next order.
So it appears to be a vote for a Diksha Guru-centered culture. Immediate next Acharya. ISKCON, but then I give a commentary commentary, ISKCON's multiple guru culture, in ISKCON's multiple guru culture today, we've come to realize that a prime duty of our initiating and instructing spiritual masters is to deepen, enhance, and enrich our foundational relationship with Srila Prabhupada. So if, quote, no jumping over means no neglecting one's, quote, immediate next Acharya, how much more does that mean no neglecting Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, from whom we derive our core identity and through whom we see all teachers and teachings. Moreover, the more deeply our spiritual masters connect us with Srila Prabhupada, the more responsibility we have to pass on his unique legacy to others. That's the next slide. Imbibe and impart. Okay. When Srila Prabhupada sees we're sincerely following him, he blesses us with the realization to pass on his teachings in ways both faithful and fitting. Prabhupada explains. Okay, Mike? Yeah, okay.
Imbibe and impart private legacy. Personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, attempt to show one's own learning by trying to surpass the previous Acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous Acharya, and at the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization.
This is called realization. We have to own, we have to really understand the content and intent of Prabhupada's spoken and written word. And then we have to be able to repackage that message for the for the new generations. I mean, what Prabhupada wrote and spoke to us in the 60s and the 70s, this is a new world today in the digital age, for example. And Prabhupada himself, what he did, he repackaged what he heard his Guru Maharaj say in the 1920s and 30s for the 60s and 70s. Everything's always changing in the material world, so you have to know how to really understand the essence of Prabhupada's teaching so that you can always, to represent means to represent, to present all over again for the new time and place. To imbibe and impart Prabhupada's legacy is to become gurus in our own right, not to imitate or replace our founder Acharya, but to follow in his footsteps. As Srila Prabhupada put it, quote, because people are in darkness, we require many millions of gurus to enlighten them. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is, he said, that every one of you become a guru. Okay, so what I do to wind down the lesson is that we look at benefits of deeply understanding Srila Prabhupada's position. Full disclosure, I lifted these benefits right from the very end of Ravindra Prabhu's book, Srila Prabhupada, the founder of Acharya ISKCON, where after his whole 100-page plus dissertation on Prabhupada's position, he summarized the whole thing in bullet points. So we're going to take a look at those points. And we'll pass the mic around. Where's the mic? Okay, that one's good. Okay, let's see here. Before we read. Okay. So these are the benefits of deeply understanding Prabhupada's unique transcendental position, especially for all who serve his movement. Here we go.
Dear generation,
generation after generation will be able to receive the special mercy offered by Srila Prabhupada. The path back to Godhead he often will become ever increasingly traveled.
Yeah, special mercy. And why did he receive special mercy? Because he was uniquely surrendered to do what no one ever had done before. Nice story, Lili Govinda Maharaj tells about what happened after Prabhupada immediately disappeared in Vrindavan on November 14, 1977. And then they carried Prabhupada's body around Vrindavan to give the Brijbasis one last darshan of their hometown hero who had spread Vrindavan consciousness all over the world. And then they came back to the mandir, and it was the next morning. And so Maharaj said, he was a Yojapati, he was householder, and he said, so I was in a daze. I was just devastated, as we all were. And then out of nowhere comes a godmother of Prabhupada's. It's Acharya Krishnadas Babaji, who was famous for playing the drum. He'd walk around, he was in the Babaji stage of life. He went through, I think he had been a householder. But now he was Babaji, and he was just, he was famous for walking around, and he had very high realizations too. And so whenever anyone would ask him a question, he would just say, Hare Krishna, and he would hit the drum. That was his answer for everything. Right? So Ayodhya Prabhu didn't even know that Babaji Maharaj spoke English. He spoke good English. He spoke like Oxford English, because he never heard him speak English. When Babaji Maharaj visited Prabhupada in his rooms in that last 2 days, were chattering away in Bengali, So Babaji Maharaj, he sees Ayodhya and how devastated he is, and he just comes up to him and says, Did you know that your spiritual master is the greatest spiritual master who ever lived? Did you know that? Now, number one, he didn't know that he spoke English, so he's blown away by his English. And number two, here is a direct disciple of a ray of Vishnu, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, saying that our Prabhupada was the greatest spiritual master who ever lived. So he's doubly, amazed. He can't say anything. And so Babaji Maharaj sees that, and he said, do you know why he's the greatest spiritual master who ever lived? No response from Ajapati. Because he did what no spiritual master ever did. He spread Harinam, the length and breadth of this earth. That's why. And he was the one Prabhupada told at Prabhupada's sannyasa initiation in September 17, 1959, when Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, his sannyas, Prabhupada's sannyas guru, gave him sannyas. So Narayan Maharaj was presiding, that's Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj's disciple, Narayan Maharaj, was the ceremonial priest, and he was doing the swahas and chanting mantras. So the whole time during the ceremony, Babaji Maharaj, he was doing Hare Krishna Kirtan, just on the back, because he was just, that's what he did. He was just always chanting Hare Krishna. Right? He was doing Hare Krishna Kirtan. And sometimes Narayan Maharaj would turn to Babaji Maharaj and go like this, a little lower, please, so we can hear the mantras. And then, Narayan Maharaj would go back to doing, the Sanskrit mantra. And Babaji Maharaj said, that's when I knew he was going to do what he was saying he was going to do. He was going to go to the West and make everybody chant Hare Krishna. That's when I knew he could do it. So, yeah, so that's, so Prabhupada received special mercy because he was especially surrendered. Whew. Ever increasingly travel. Okay, let's, another reader.
Srila Prabhupada's active presence will secure the unity and integrity of ISKCON, strengthening both the GBC and Guru-disciple bonds.
Again, Prabhupada is the unity amidst the diversity, and it's because he wants to have a strong governing body who can make sure that his mission is on track. And he wants strong guru-disciple relationships. He doesn't want there to be competing, lines of authority. So if we're actually surrendered to Prabhupada, then there's really no conflict. Even when there is conflict, we have the will and the heart, and Krishna gives us the intelligence how to resolve these conflicts. Okay. That's ISKCON's central challenge from a managerial standpoint. Here we go, another reader.
By taking full shelter of Srila Prabhupada's Shiksha Guru in his Bani manifestation, all teachers in ISKCON on various levels of advancement will be able to authentically convey Srila Prabhupada's real teachings, thus giving proper guidance, shelter, and protection to them.
Yeah. It's when we stop, it's like when you're watering a tree or a plant, you're trying to grow something. It needs regular watering. So as soon as we stop absorbing ourselves in Prabhupada's life teachings, word and mission, we begin to dry up. Just like that's what happened in '74 when I told you when ISKCON Gainesville turned into Gainesville and God We Trust. We stopped, the watering process. We were watering our weeds, our political weeds. So, yeah, full shelter, there's the key words there. We're taking full shelter, not just some token nod to Prabhupada, and then we absorb ourselves in some trip, coming from a previous attachment we had. Okay, we can use all these things in Krishna's service, all these other things we use, yukta vairagya, but we have to use them in a way that would be pleasing to Srila Prabhupada and not be consumed by those tools. Okay, so another point?
ISKCON's teachings will remain consistent over space and time.
Yeah, similar point. And
Prabhupada's realized knowledge, endowing him with specific potency to spread Krishna consciousness will not only be preserved but also developed.
yeah, Prabhupada spoken about so many things we haven't even done. I mean, look at the whole Varnashram thing. He said 50% will not only be preserved, but be also developed. And that's another reader.
His books will remain central to us, for they contain insights and directions that await future development to be realized.
Yeah, the same idea. Central to us. So sometimes people say, yeah, but Guru Maharaj is writing so many books and we've got so many podcasts, and that's fine. But any leader worth the name is going to produce books and lectures and, media, whatever, which inspire us to go back to Prabhupada's media. I liken it to a feast where Prabhupada's body is the main course, and all these other dishes are like side dishes. hors d'oeuvres and appetizers and, you know, salads or whatever, but then we come back to the main course. Oh. Okay, let's see, I think there's one more. Who's got the, Mary?
Srila Prabhupada's eyes will always remain the lens through which all future generations see out predecessor acharyas. Predecessor acharyas.
Yeah, we see everyone and everything through Prabhupada's eyes. I don't know if I shared this, but some of my godbrothers during the zonal Acharya era, they just couldn't handle it. I didn't blame them for what was going on. And they just took shelter of other Gaudiya gurus. And about 19 years ago, 2005, I was visiting one of these godbrothers who had taken sannyas. And he had his own farm, kind of, and temple, and he had written his own Gita, and he had an altar. We had a pleasant chat, but I could see, just from hearing him and seeing his altar, that he was now seeing Prabhupada through this other Gaudiya guru's eyes, which, as exalted as that Gaudiya guru wasn't Prabhupada, didn't have near the potency of Prabhupada. And in fact, it was that guru godbrother of Prabhupada's who said, Shakyavesh. He praised Prabhupada. It was Bhakti Rakshat Srila Maharaj. So my godbrother was seeing Prabhupada through Srila Maharaj's eyes. Okay, you can do that, but then you're just sort of stepping outside Prabhupada's ISKCON Sangha. So, after I had spent some hours there, I thought, okay, well, my godbrother, he's maintaining his vows and he's preaching, he's a good preacher, but he's not going to help me really in my relationship with Srila Prabhupada. He's not going to help me come closer to him. So I thanked him and I haven't seen him since, except online. He's a good man, but it's a different subject, that's all. Okay. So all those benefits naturally accrue to devotees who realize their core identity as Prabhupada Anugas, Prabhupada's followers. Inspired by, quote, our Prabhupads, we will continue to cooperate, even when we disagree, to bring the Lord's mercy to everyone. I can't imagine a better way to please Srila Prabhupada, our beloved founder Acharya. Okay, so when I was in New Mayapur, then Gopaswami, my godbrother, he suggested something that I'm now in the next edition, this is one of the things I have to add to the script. He said, well, Suresvara, this is the logical point to go around the room and ask everybody about their relationship with Prabhupada right now, and perhaps how this journey, this 10-lesson journey, has impacted that relationship. So why don't we do that? We've got a half hour. I think it would be a very personal and meaningful and beneficial way to end the series. Before we go to the Q&A. Oh yeah, we're going to do Q&A. So maybe 15 minutes we can spend on this, or as much as you want. Would anyone like to share how this Prabhupada journey has influenced or not? Maybe it hasn't. Maybe I need work to do. I need to work on it more. Anyone? Okay. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So my relationship with Srila Prabhupada started in '89, while I was a staunch atheist, convinced atheist, but spiritual seeker. And just by reading his introduction to Bhagavad Gita, I immediately became an aspiring devotee, which I'm still in. So Prabhupada is for me always the magical person who could change my atheistic heart into an inspiring theist devotee. So by hearing a number of these sessions, I couldn't attend all. It's just so inspiring to always go back to the whole foundation and to also see our spiritual master in that context, light. And he is such a nice follower of Srila Prabhupada, and I should also become a nice follower of the followers of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is always in the center as a member of this movement. So I'm very grateful for your endeavor and your presentations and your 10 sessions going around the world to deepen our faith in Srila Prabhupada and his unique position as founder Acharya.
Did it actually do that? Deepen your faith?
Yes, definitely. It's not just the way you present it in a very scriptural way and also adding your realizations, but just by having so many sessions with Prabhupada in the focus, in the center, it's very inspiring and very deepening. I regret that not more devotees are actively following and digesting and reflecting on this. So,
they're watching online too.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten letters. People are watching online.
Yes.
What the posts.
And my last thing, what I want to mention is that my Vyasa Puja offering of this year was all about being an inferior disciple in relationship to the study of his books. So I would like to forward it to you. You can read this offering, which is completely focused on Prabhupada.
This is in the VBT Vyasa Puja book?
No, but I can share it.
Oh, your Vyasa Puja for Loknath Maharaj?
No, my personal
to
Vyasa Puja offering to Srila Prabhupada, which was a couple of months.
Right, okay, got it. Sure, yeah. Okay, again, the question is, how has this particular series influenced you?
I wanted to say also that how I came, I don't know, it was quite significant for me, but I was searching for a spiritual environment that I can agree with it, or I can feel naturally attracted to that. And some other Krishna directed me to the temple. This was the first time that I met the devotees. And then it was amazing that somebody was giving us a tour, and then we came in front of Srila Prabhupada's Murti, and then it was, Prabhupada was kind of communicating with me. It was really surprising. It was like, you're mine, and this is what you have to do. And I was thinking, what is this, How is taking control of me or something? But there was no way that I could say, I could change it, or I go against it. This was it, this is what I have to do. And then, what I was getting from him, just that you have to go further to another temple, which was, it happened to be actually here, in Radhadesh, and then it was like here, so that's it, So it was a connection which never stopped, and it was always my shelter. And it is, for me, the books that Prabhupada is writing, it's always very understandable for me, more than when I read anything else. So it's like the language that he speaks, the message, the mood, is very, very, I feel like this is actually what my soul is absorbing, is what I can understand more than anything else. And to have a person like him, in my life, it's not just one life, it's like many lives. It's such a treasure, which I hope I will be able to take advantage to, and give it to the people who are coming and trying to somehow connect them. So this is very wonderful. So then when you come and you speak about it, and then you kind of really make it more and more clear and more of the reality, which is for everybody. So it's really, I really like very much this series of meetings, and I'm very grateful for that, and I hope it's going to continue. That's very nice.
Very good, my health. So it sounds like you're saying that what I've presented confirms your experience with your Prabhupada. It's not something which is very important. If I was presenting something that didn't relate to reality, then it wouldn't make any sense, right? But what I presented here is you're experiencing it, so that's very encouraging. Yes.
I'm gonna get on the camera. So I missed a little bit at the beginning, regretfully, but I feel very, I find it very interesting to see how it comes across like the presentation and everything has been like somebody pushing a particular agenda, and but it's actually simply presenting Prabhupada as a whole, and that's very interesting to me because it's like we addressed a lot of difficult questions in this session. We went through it's just the whole experience of this session was that we have these it seems like opportunities to be going into something that could be like pursuing a particular like Suresvara Prabhu's agenda, but you're representing Prabhupada so nicely. That's my feeling. That, and even possibly, yes, that Prabhupada's agenda. I'm getting to know Prabhupada's agenda, and that's really nice because it's deep, thorough, and maybe some people may doubt it, maybe some may think like, oh, this is Suresvara Prabhu's take on it, but the way you've presented it, I feel like I've come closer to Prabhupada's agenda. And why do I feel like it's a Prabhupada's agenda? Is because there's so much still to do, and there is actually also, there are fictional Prabhupads, there's a lot of things that are far away or further away from our Father Acharya's intentions, and which is all opportunity for service and growth and maturity. And I loved it in 2011. It's the first time I got to take this, and I didn't imagine how much more I could get from it, and I also feel like maybe I didn't get it that much then, and how somebody can really be a walking encyclopedia of Prabhupada, and I aspire to also become more knowledgeable about him and his responses, and I really like the way you respond with stories and really addressing things in a kind, neutral, outside perspective also a way.
You know what I do? You know how they have this thing in the world called continuing education for employees, right? If you want to keep updating your skills and your knowledge. So I'm always updating my knowledge, because the Prabhupada stories I tell, they're not mine. They're mostly other people's stories that I've witnessed on the memory series, on following Srila Prabhupada, and reading the books by other devotees. So it's like, I need to do that because I'm presenting these seminars, and those experiences of others are just so valuable because they make it real. It's not just theoretical anymore, it's somebody's experience. So, because Prabhupada has so many aspects, as we presented in this last lesson, he's a transcendental Renaissance man. When we hear each other's Prabhupads, we get a fuller understanding of Prabhupada. He's just so vast and many-sided. You know? So it's very valuable like that. Thank you. And maybe this will be a Q&A, I don't know.
So yeah, it's a very vast seminar, and for me it's a little bit overwhelming because there were so many things. But what just came to mind is that, like, you quoted from the Lila Marita, and it's a wonderful book, and reading about Srila Prabhupada is really nice. But I felt this was kind of the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Srila Prabhupada's life, philosophical aspects of Srila Prabhupada. Like I think Vishwambar said it very nicely. Like, you know, what Prabhupada, I forgot what he exactly said, but the term, but, you know, what Prabhupada said, his teachings, and it was a full presentation. Kind of, we went through the whole thing, and what it did for me is that it made me realize that I was also discussing that when you talk about Krishna, Krishna is present, and when we talk about Srila Prabhupada is present, and especially in this kind of official setting, it's even more relishable, more than watching the memories, more than following Srila Prabhupada, and more than discussing it with other devotees. In this official setting, it seems to have more impact on me. And yeah, like I said, it brought me deeper. And yeah, just to give one example, I want to discuss this, like for instance, with the Varna Ashram system, you said there were 3 stages of Srila Prabhupada's thought on this. So you put it in historical, you put it in historical context, and there were many instances like that. Things that I already kind of knew or thought I knew, and maybe I did know, but the way you presented it, it made me understand it much better and deeper. So it really, brought me much closer to Srila Prabhupada. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and I tell you, I get that from other devotees. It's like I'm just reading, I'm still reading Jadharani's book, The Art of Spiritual Life. So, you know, a lot of those things that happened in 26 Second Avenue, she was the first lady to join. Right? She was the first artist. So you've heard Prabhupada's stories from that time. So she tells us a lot of the same stories she was personally present for, and she gives an artist's eye on the incident. And an artist, she contextualizes it from an artistic group. It's fascinating. It's the same things that I've heard, but hearing it from her, I have it's like a new dimension of meaning. It's really good. And you get that in general when you hear Prabhupada, and when you hear devotees talk about Srila Prabhupada and their experiences with him. Okay, there's more I could say, but I want to go.
For me, like I said this morning, it's especially the whole presentation was not only fascinating, but it deeply brought me back to that first connection I had when I received this sense of self-realization in the darkest moment of my life, and that really saved my life. I was going to commit suicide. So at that point, and then I made that commitment. Actually, I felt really my gut reaction. I'm going to do this, and that establishes that shiksha relationship. And you brought it up very clearly. That means a lot to me. It's as valuable of any other initiation which happened afterwards, and that means a lot to me because like I say, at that point I felt really my life was saved, and that it means a lot to me, and like to have it established and valued, and it really means a lot to me, and that's why already, like I said, I translated the book, and I like really to see it structurally taught. I mean, like you say, we should start locally and in the different languages. And yeah, I feel very grateful to you for all that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Prabhu. You've given me a very good opportunity to tell this. I told you there's a story I wanted to tell.
Yes, yesterday.
Yeah.
No
it
one
illustrates what the story does. Did you want to say something? Or you, Prabhu, holding the mic? No. Okay. Good. I didn't want to cut you off there. This is the best story I know that illustrates the relationship between all generations of devotees, their Diksha Gurus, especially Diksha Guru, and Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya. So it involves a friend and colleague in ISKCON education who's a second generation. She's a disciple of Prabhupada's disciple. And I kind of knew her story a little bit, but then she told me the whole thing. And I knew that her story was so good that I would want to use it in this series. So she said, okay, you can use it, but just keep me anonymous. Because she doesn't want to be, the poster child for whatever, for how to realize that Prabhupada is your foundational guru. She's just, she's a private kind of person. So here's the story. I'll just give you the short version. So she's from India. She was born in India, but she's Western educated. And in 1987, 10 years after Prabhupada disappeared, she read Prabhupada's Gita as it is, and she was thrilled. She was an intelligent lady, and she was a teacher, and she was a seeker, and she read the Gita as it is, and that was it. This is the absolute truth. And she wanted to meet the author. Unfortunately, the author had, passed away 10 years earlier. So she found that out when she went to the Calcutta temple. Oh, Srila Prabhupada, passed away at 77. So she was disappointed, but she knew she wanted to help his mission. So she was a young lady teaching, and then a godbrother of mine came to India, and long story short, he met her, and then he married her. And he's from America. And so he brought her to America, where he lived. Okay, so that was in around 1990, something like that. So in the meantime, she keeps reading. She not only read the Gita by then, but she was reading Prabhupada's books, Nectar Devotion and Bhagavatam, And so it says in Prabhupada's books that you have to take initiation. You see, she was reading some other Swami's books, and so she wrote him. And she said, I'm inspired by your writing, and I'd like to explore a relationship with you, guru-disciple. And so the Swami said, well, I'm not so much initiating anymore, and thank you for your kind thoughts. I'm not so much initiating anymore, and you're married to a Prabhupada disciple, and well, for now, why don't you just take shelter of your husband and keep reading Prabhupada's books, and I think you'll be all right. So she was disappointed because she knew Prabhupada wanted her to take initiation. Now this is 1990, and the first founder Acharya resolution hadn't come down the pike yet. So it's kind of still recovering from the Zolacharya debacle and the Ritvik reaction, and still there would be more falls and more traumas and dramas and betrayals and So that happened during the 90s. Okay, so she keeps reading Prabhupada's books. She knows, it's kind of a tension building there. She knows Prabhupada's her foundational guru. And then she sees what's going on at ISKCON, and she doesn't know how to reconcile it. She knows Prabhupada wants her to take initiation, but boy, she doesn't want to be disappointed if somebody betrays her, right? So the 90s go on, and then the new millennium was approaching. Remember Y2K? Well, 1999 turned into 2000, and the world did not end in a puff of cyber smoke. No, the world still existed. And so she says to her husband, Prabhu, this is really getting serious. I'm really conflicted. I can't imagine offering food to anybody else but Prabhupada. I can't imagine offering incense to anybody else's picture. I can't imagine reading anybody else's books. So her husband is just trying to assure her that, it'll happen, he will be initiated, but she's thinking, I don't want anybody to come in between me and Prabhupada. That's how she's thinking. But Prabhupada wants her to take initiation. So anyway, 2003, she's at a festival with her husband, and a certain Swami is speaking, and she also finds him inspiring. So she says to her husband, Prabhu, I've got to speak to Maharaj. I've got to resolve this, and I think he can help me. So can you ask the festival organizer if we can get darshan with Maharaj? So the husband does that, goes to the organizer and says, my husband really needs to speak with Maharaj. Can you give us some time with Maharaj? So the organizer said, well, Maharaj has been traveling all around the world and he's not feeling well and he's exhausted. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you 10 minutes. I'll give you 10 minutes to sit and solve this poor lady's, lifetime problem. So anyway, by Krishna's mercy, Maharaj does meet with her. 10 minutes turns into 20 minutes. 20 minutes turns into 30 minutes. And it might have even gone to 40 minutes. Anyway, in the course of 40 minutes, she unloads, she just unloads and gives her dilemma. She knows Prabhupada wants her to be initiated, but she doesn't want anybody to come between her and Srila Prabhupada. And then she says, is this offensive? And Maharaj says, no, not offensive. It's intelligent. You know Prabhupada's, because he knew Prabhupada's position. You know Prabhupada's position. He's our founder, Acharya. So she was relieved to hear that. And then he said, now, what if you took initiation from someone who wouldn't come in between you and Prabhupada, but who would enrich, enhance, and deepen your relationship with Prabhupada, who would bring you closer to Srila Prabhupada? What about that? And you know what the lady said? Oh, I've never heard that before. No wonder she's suffering. It wasn't even being preached. It wasn't being taught. So she said, that sounds really interesting. And so it was also an invitation from the Maharaj to write him, to start a relationship with him. And so, sure enough, they started exploring a guru-disciple relationship. And then a year later, in 2004, she took Diksha from so-and-so Maharaj. Now, I knew her story. So when I was doing the basic research for this, in 2011 in Hawaii, where I was living, I said, my dear such and such, could you put that story in writing? I want to make sure I get it right. She said, sure. And so I got the email with what I just told you. And then she said something else. She said, and Prabhu, you know, in the 7 years, this is 2011, yeah, 2000, yeah, in the 7 years since I took initiation from Srila, from so Maharaj, not only has Maharaj kept his promise not to come in between me and Prabhupada, but to bring me closer to Srila Prabhupada, because he is who he is, he has also taken his place in my heart at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. And I said, yes! That's Parampara. That's Parampara in ISKCON. Someone who does that, naturally, that person's going to be so dear to you. So, yeah. And then she saw me telling her story online. She saw me giving this seminar series, the last lesson, in Soho. When Johnny Tai was the president, this was in 2014 or 15. And then she emailed me right away after this. I got an email after I got back to my room. She said, "Thank you. You didn't tell me. You got the story right, and you kept me anonymous. Thank you very much." And then I got an email from Indra Swami, and he said, "I was surfing the net, and I came upon your seminar, and I heard that story, and you're my hero." I mean, he's my hero. He's everybody's hero, right? What he's doing. He's traveling around. You're my hero. This is what we need to preach in ISKCON. Yeah. So, Guru Parampara, this is the way it works. And if that can be understood from this Prabhupada journey, then the whole thing is a success. And then you just have to churn it, and increase that here in Radhadesh, think globally, but act locally. And it's blissful, because it's true, it works. It's tattva, it's truth. It's Guru Tattva in ISKCON. Despite the critics. Okay, does anybody, we're over time now, and please speak now or forever hold your peace, because I'm so tired. I gotta go to bed. Because I haven't given myself enough sleep. I've been reading this Here Comes the Sun, spiritual biography of George Harrison by Yogeshwar, and I can't put it down. I'm reading it for something we're going to do in Tucson for George. We do a George tribute every year. So I'm really tired. So please speak now. As long as you speak, then I'll be awake because I listen to you. But after we're done, then I'm going to start collapsing, and then I'll come over here and say, "Prabhu, I didn't want to say this in front of everybody." Okay, so is there anything more? Yes, please, keep me up.
Krishna, thank you so much for giving this all these days and talking about Prabhupada and presenting it so nicely and beautiful pictures, and feels like we start to know him more and more.
Thank you.
And actually, I was...
Acharya Krishna Das Babaji. I heard the story in a lecture in Vrindavan, so I don't remember exactly who was saying it.
Okay. It wasn't Bibi Govindamana?
It's possible.
Okay.
Maybe Dinabandhu.
Okay, yeah.
But he was saying that at a certain point, Acharya Krishna Das Babaji was not feeling well, and they got a doctor. And they were afraid that he was in some kind of coma. So he was not moving, breathing hardly. So the doctor came and he went with this thing on his heart to listen. That the doctors had it.
Stethoscope.
And as soon as he put it on, he was shocked. And he looked around and he told the devotees, I hear Hare Krishna.
I don't doubt
So
that.
he didn't hear his heart, but he heard the heart.
Why not?
And I think also he was one of the rare disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, who got Babaji initiation.
Yeah.
But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he was not very fond of Babaji mood.
Although his own Guru Maharaj was a Babaji, but yeah, he wanted his people to preach. That's why he gave sannyas. He revived sannyas. Yeah. Okay. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I have the mic, so I have to also share my appreciation. Because I know that initially he didn't want to come.
That's right. I wasn't sure I could travel anymore.
And somehow we convinced you. So I want to ask you, did you regret coming here?
No, it was great. It was great. But only because at every step, and I think this must have been Stoka Krishna Prabhu's handiwork, he made sure that at every venue that I was at, I had everything I needed. The old man had everything he needed. The right prasad, the right groom, the right whatever. I knew that because the older the body gets, the more fragile you get. I even remember when we were booking the flight, I said, look, can you get me out of basic economy? I don't want to be a sardine for 10 hours. And this is one reason why I get so much jet lag. Can you at least get me into, what do they call it? It's not basic economy, but enhanced economy. Something. And he tried, but the airlines are such crooks that they charge you so much more for that. So they could, whoever paid for all the tickets, they couldn't handle it. So I surrendered. That's okay. Put me in as a sardine but when I get to the places, make sure I can recover for a few days before I start speaking. Because I'm not like Prabhupada, I feel the jet lag, so much. So thank you for doing that, for pioneering, for clearing the way. Both in Radhadesh and New Mayapur and Radhadesh. Okay. Well, thank you for your Sangha. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.